So we're all sort of preconditioned to think a ton about the output of art, right? The final result, and even the process of creating that final result. But I think because of this, we oftentimes do forget just how much of a two-way process art is, right? Like, no idea is created in a void, we know this. And because of that, there is more than just the output of what you create, there's also the input of what you consume. And I think that honestly, I think this is like just not discussed at all. I feel, at least, in the spaces I'm in the side of the algorithms I'm in, and in my own personal life, that this is something that is seldom ever discussed. I don't think it's a topic that people are really thinking about. And I think that's bad. I think that's really bad because I think that we forget just how important it is. Dare I say, it could possibly be more crucial than your process, than your practice, right? What you're consuming, where your reference points lie, are infinitely important. I think part of the reason this is such a lost idea is because of just the age we're in. I mean, it's the most tired, played out talking point at this point, but it's true. We're in the internet age, right? We all have algorithms that are beaming images into our head 24/7 about things that, sometimes we care about, sometimes we don't, sometimes we enjoy it, other times it's like, oh man, where'd that 3 hours just go? And I think because of this fact, I think that we've kind of lost the idea of like consuming things purposefully at all, like let alone consuming good things, consuming things that we think should help us, right? Like it wouldn't be a rare, or it still isn't rather, a rare practice for many people in creative fields to like when you're working on a project, sort of train for it by consuming things, right? Of like, oh, I know I'm gonna make a sci-fi movie, I want like a villain to be sort of like this, I want the landscapes to be sort of like this. I'll watch American Psycho and Star Wars, get ready for it. I mean, obviously a super rudimentary example of it, but that's a very common thing that happens in the arts, right? And I think that because of the space we're in, this is something that's largely forgotten. Like, I think this is a practice that's all but gone, pretty much. I mean, it's not around, at least where I am. I think, too, that we're seeing a slight resurgence in this. Like, I've seen a couple newsletters, I forget by who, maybe Ryan Reynolds was one of the people who made one of these, where it's like everything I consumed this week, or not everything I consumed this week, it's like these media diets, which, I don't know, I feel weird about the whole thing, because it's like, that's an act of curation, right? Which is cool on the one hand, because there's a severe lack of that missing. But I think what it fails to do is tell us all how much we should be self-curating in comparison to this, right? Like it's weird. It would be an unseen thought just 20 years ago to have somebody feed you what you should be watching and listening to and reading, let alone have not try to exercise it right at all yourself, try to exercise or set out any intention over the things that you consume. And because of this, I want to talk about this because I think that similar to, let's talk about this in terms like a diet, right? Media diet's a term people use, and I think it's an apt comparison actually, because just the same way that if you eat a bunch of McDonald's before you go out on a run or go to work out, you're gonna feel worse than if you were to have good salad, maybe, maybe a lot of vitamins with a healthy source of protein. You're gonna feel better on that run or that workout or whatever you're doing, right? That's obviously the basis of why you should have a good diet. Obviously, stay in shape and such too, but good food is a great fuel in comparison to some of the other stuff that we have around us, right? I think that media can work the same way, where in the same way there's the term empty calories, right? Where it's like, yeah, you might have just had 1,000 calories, but those were Cheetos. You didn't actually get anything out of it, right? Sometimes you don't even feel full after. Content is art. I'll stand on the fact that I do think content is art because it does require, by the definition of art, right, it follows these principles, so it is art. However, I don't think anybody would say that it quite invigorates you the way seeing a great movie does, right? Obviously, we understand that in the same way that seeing something great that somebody put a ton of time into can sort of invigorate your soul and really inspire you, content does not do that. Content does the opposite of that. It is definitely, as much as I do still believe it's art, it is 100% the empty calories of art. I don't think there's much of anything to be gained from hyper-consuming content. This is not to say, I feel like content gets shit on so much, right? And I feel like there's almost an irony to me sitting here even making content with the way that we speak about it, right? I kind of hate the discourse around content because it's like, one, it's all content being made about content. It's the most annoying sort of meta commentary there could possibly be. But also, I think it lacks nuance of the fact that like great content exists. Like there is a ton of content that will change your life. I've learned so much from the internet, right? And in curating, you can do that. I think the problem is more so that not the content in a void, because there's so many amazing artists doing amazing things via content, but more so the lack of intention that comes with the consumption of content. And I think it almost goes hand in hand with this, right? Because once you understand how to regulate the inputs of your creativity, right? Or in non-pretentious terms, have a good media diet. Once you understand how to like actually consume things purposefully. Not even understand, we all understand. Once you practice it, practice is the better term here, right? Once you practice that, content becomes the best thing on earth, right? Recently, a thing that I've done in the last month or so is I've stopped watching content while I work, right? I work at a desk where I can have an earbud in a lot, because I'd always have some YouTube slop on in the background, something like that. And one thing I've been doing recently is just figuring like, let me just throw on movies instead, right? I've always placed way too much weight into watching movies, but like I gotta sit in a quiet room and watch them. And I was like, worst case, I don't remember them after I watch them. I don't remember the content I watch anyways, so let's just watch movies, right? I think that I've already noticed too, I've only been doing this for a month, it's a bit funny to be talking about it even in this, though I have noticed totally, it's way better for creativity. At least I remember some of these movies, that's interesting things. I can't tell you the last video I watched, like at all. I don't know what it was, but movies, yeah, I do remember them. I remember the last movie I watched, right? And I think that's a great example of this, right? Like once you start doing that, going back to content more purposefully, you see just what a useful tool it is. Like, in the same way that KFC is not actually bad food, well, like nutritionally, yeah, it's bad food. But in the same way that like it's not actually like the devil, like people say it is, you just got to eat it in moderation. And it's like, oh yeah, you can enjoy a little junk food. Content's the same way. Right? There's a benefit, there's a time and place to consuming content. It's just more so that that's we're not incentivized to do that, right? So that's why I just recommend consume less content, consume more art, and you'll be better for it. You'll notice it'll be so much better for your creativity, for all these things. Because once you start doing that, you have so much more to pull from. Right? Like your styles of art, everything you do, and myself included in this, comes from like what you consume, right? Nothing's created in a void, everything is referential in one way or another, sometimes more explicitly, right? But you're always pulling from somewhere, right? So because of that, oftentimes it's like what we consumed when we were kids, right? Like I know, I always say this, I feel like I'm a broken record, but comics are a huge thing for me. I read those a lot when I was a kid, and I see that in so much of my art because of it. But when all of us kind of, I feel like because of the landscape we're in, aren't really treating things that way anymore. We're now like, just kind of on autopilot almost, it feels like, with the things that we consume. And I think putting more intention into that and watching, simple change outs. I feel like we're all like, we don't have time to watch or consume good things. But when we look at your screen time, like you do, and I feel like simple change outs like that really do change things creatively. Like so much more to reference, so much more to pull from. Even I think it's more productive to half watch a movie and go, man, that was really cool, than it is to just drone by on content and be like, man, I didn't get anything out of that, right? Maybe you pull from the movie, maybe you don't. Either way, you remember something now, like it's a more active experience. And because of that, this is me just proposing that what we should do is all consume art instead of content. This is the painting. I don't like it. I don't like this painting one bit. Where I really went wrong here, well, I went wrong in a couple places. One, I wanted this guy to be way thinner than he is, and I should have plotted out this pose way more. Two, the shadow, I really just like, there's no definitive light source in this. And then I had this idea of subtly blending on some colors over here, and maybe if I put more time into it, I could have gotten these to look a little better too. But I was just kind of finishing up the conversation here. This painting was already a lost cause, so because of that, there's nothing redeemable about this. So go check it out on the TikTok and Instagram. Until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This is from Paint and Talk episode 266. I'm here every morning, painting and talking. Every evening, painting and talking with you all. Gotta get used to that.